I think I'll see that.
There we go. So I'm going to, everybody should be muted, but let me see if I can just unmute people to say hi. And I will turn my camera on too. There we go. So let me just allow Mike. Allow Mike. I think, Lauren, you can click on people and allow their mics. Hello. Oh, did I just disable Mike? I don't know if I muted them. Hold on 1 second.
I think my mic's working.
Oh, perfect. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi,
Yeah,
how are you?
Hey.
I'm
Yeah.
multitasking, so I'm going to be in and out. Just
Okay,
as
I'll allow. Yeah, I think I had the settings, so I turned off everything because sometimes people come in and their mics aren't muted, so people will be talking. I think everybody has their mic muted that I can see here, so I think the mics are all enabled, and then I think we can mute people. Let's see here. There we go. So we'll give it a bit of time to let everybody kind of trickle in, and then I'll put my first slide up here. My Teams all set up. Change settings. Can you guys see the screen, guys and girls, everybody? Oh, we got a few more. Let's see here in my settings.
Yeah, the screen looks fine on my end, so we should be good.
Here we go. Meeting options. Audio, video. Okay. Now we allowed mics. There we go. I think everybody's mic should be enabled. So we'll give it a bit of time for everyone to kind of trickle in, but normally I have the mics muted, but because normally when I give these, there's about, 40, 50 people, sometimes close to 100 people, depending on who I'm giving it to. So we try and keep it to questions, kind of type the questions in the chat, or you can raise your hand using Teams. There's a little raise hand there at the top. You can do that. And then if you want to type them in there, Lauren should be seeing the chat. So Lauren, can you see the chat by any chance? Perfect. Okay. I'll just put a little hello here. Hello. Everybody can see the chat, and you can just pop your questions in there. And anytime you have any questions on anything you see on the screen, by all means, be sure to raise your hand or to just drop a question in the chat. I want to make this as interactive as possible, and that's I think why these have been so successful. I've been delivering these for about a year now. A little background: I've been working with a nonprofit out of Montreal when I started delivering these, and it was actually back in August that I did my first one, and it was really just because I've been doing so much work with AI to build an app using ChatGPT and AI to build the app. I'm not a programmer, I'm not a developer, but I was still able to do that. So, I thought it was really cool and something I've been using and leveraging AI now for the past year and a half. And it's something that I think all small businesses really need to start doing more. And one of the reasons I started giving these is because I found that a lot of the bigger companies and enterprise organizations were using AI and adopting AI into their back end and adopting AI into their workflows. But it was leaving a lot of the SMBs behind. A lot of these smaller, mid-sized companies didn't know how to adopt AI, didn't know where the play was for AI. ChatGPT free was great, and it is great. But the problem with ChatGPT free is it's limited in the way that it acts. Sometimes it could be slow. Sometimes it doesn't finish giving you your output because of the limitations it has on the free version. Also, since I'm a Microsoft guy, just to let you know, I used to work at Microsoft, the head office here in Microsoft Canada. So I worked on the Azure team and I worked on the partner team, and I'm very familiar with kind of adopting and bringing new technologies into kind of a new marketplace. But when Microsoft got involved and bought ChatGPT, that's when we noticed that it was starting to kind of segment and gatekeep a lot of the good features. So the free version used to have everything, but now you're seeing that there's paid versions, and a lot of the stuff that I really like is behind those paid versions. And now they even have like enterprise versions that goes a bit further. And that's just the Microsoft part of it, right? Like that's how Microsoft licensing works, and they'll try and kind of make sure that it's segmented. And again, that's where I see the SMBs being left behind a little bit more, because Microsoft really, its bread and butter and core is enterprise. So it's the bigger companies, right? So for small to mid-sized companies, that kind of leaves a gap where, you can use ChatGPT and stuff, but um, with the Microsoft Play, it becomes a little trickier, I feel, to adopt it with the free version anyway. But that, we're going to cover all of that. And when I first start off this, I'm going to go into a bit of the background in terms of what ChatGPT is, what an LLM is, large language model. But I'm not going to be too technical. I don't want to get too technical because I'm not a data scientist. I'm not a data engineer. I've worked with them and I work with them. But I'm a layman. So, I like to explain this in terms that everybody can kind of understand. And I need that done for myself to understand it as well. So it's only 1:05. I don't want to start a little too soon because I think we had almost 20 people register. So I think there's how many now? 10 people in the chat. We can give it another minute or two, I guess, Lauren. Is there any? I'd like to get a feel for the people that are attending, if it's okay, and whoever's comfortable saying, what you do, what you're currently looking to get out of this webinar, what you'd kind of like to see, or where your understanding of ChatGPT is. Have you used any of the ChatGPT versions? Have you tried the free version of ChatGPT? Any kind of comments or anything you want to drop in the chat will help me kind of guide or gear this presentation. So at least I'm kind of focusing on people's, the gaps or what you're looking to kind of achieve by attending this, right? It should just really be a high level overview, but I'm going to dive into ChatGPT and actually do some real world examples as well. So I think that's something that hopefully you'll see a lot more value out of and you'll appreciate. And I also want to share, I have a document that I also created that I'm going to share with everybody after this. So basically you can just email me or you can just reach out. But this is a document I put together. It has a whole bunch of prompts. It goes over some frameworks, first of all, that you can use to build your prompts. How you build a prompt and how you talk to ChatGPT is really how you're going to get the most out of it, right? So the way that you frame your questions and the way that you frame your conversations, if you do that using these frameworks, I find you'll get a much more definitive and a much more targeted answer that will help you kind of achieve what you're looking to achieve. So there's a few frameworks in here that I'm going to talk about at the end, but I'm going to send this document over to everybody who wants it. So feel free to reach out after the webinar or reach out to Lauren and she can put me in touch or put you in touch with me. And I will be sending that over. But you can see here that I also put in some real world examples, because it's one thing to put a framework for like how it's going to look, but it's another thing to actually use real world examples. And this is also helpful sometimes with ChatGPT and some of the tools that you're using. It'll ask you to provide examples. I don't always do that, but sometimes it's very helpful to provide examples of the answer that you're looking for. That way ChatGPT can kind of better serve your purpose, is what you're using it for, kind of thing. So all this will be available after the presentation, so feel free to ask for that. And Lauren, I'm going to let you, we got about 11. So far, I've only used ChatGPT for marketing purposes, but love to learn more about its capabilities, how I'm able to help me grow my book of business. Would love to get a copy of the document, yeah, for sure. And you know what? Let's let you know, for the Chambers of Commerce, this is my first webinar with a Chamber of Commerce. So I really am trying to get familiar with who makes up the Chamber, what kind of people we'll have in attendance. I use ChatGPT a lot because I do outbound business development and sales and marketing, but I really work with technology partners and Microsoft partners and software developers. This is what I've been doing for the last decade, so that's what I'm familiar with. So in terms of growing business, I'm really very adept at figuring out using ChatGPT to go out and find new customers, if you're looking for better targets, if you're looking for, there's really so many things that you can do now. Like a lot of people are using ChatGPT because, okay, it'll give you a sales script, it'll give you a little intro to your message or your email, but it's so much more powerful when you use it for like research and for, digging into finding better targets or finding information on your targets. So when you do approach them, you have a better understanding of who they are and what they're looking for, or how you can maybe better help them, or how you can better engage with them. Really, that's where I try and use ChatGPT for more. Like I don't, everyone could share the industry they're in. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Thank you, Lauren, for that question. But so yeah, making use of ChatGPT, but making use of it for what you need to do is really important too. And like I said, I like to use it a lot for I like to use it a lot for research, and I find that it's really great for doing that because it helps me to build up a really good, instead of just sending a cold email to someone, you can send a cold email that's relevant, that addresses something that's recent, that affects them. Then it becomes a lot more easy to get their attention and get them to converse with you when you do it that way. So, family wealth advisors, a perfect financial industry. That's fantastic. All kinds of stuff you can do with ChatGPT and some of the tools that I can show you, um, especially for doing research. If you have, there's all kinds of stuff that you can use now, AI apps that'll help you research and basically give better info to your clients, in terms of where they're invested and what they can do with their investments. Manufacturing rep is fantastic. If you're looking to find more targets or find more leads, there's stuff in here for you that I think you'll really like. You work for the Antiques Chamber of Commerce. So I don't know if Lauren knows you. I hope she does. I don't know how big it is. Oh, St. FX, University and Ancillary Services Department. Fantastic. So that's great. We have a really wide range of people that are attending, so that's cool. And as long as it's not, it shouldn't just be for people for business. Like, I think it's super useful, and I try, like, like, even for younger people that don't own their own business or aren't any in doing business, it's a really powerful tool to learn. Especially if you're looking for work or if you're trying to update your resume or anything like that. I know kids are using it all the time, and obviously they're going to be better than a lot of us adults soon. They're using it to try to cheat and in school, and they'll get very creative about the different ways they'll get it to cheat for them. But this forces teachers now to also have to be kind of on top of it. A writer photographer is fantastic. I'm sure you're a little apprehensive about what ChatGPT is going to do to your industry, maybe, or where it leaves you. And this is where I hope that you see after this webinar that you can kind of augment your services, Denise, as opposed to worrying about if it's going to take away business from you. Maybe help it to find more business for you is the goal, which is what we'd like to do. Okay, so let me go into the first slide because we're already 10 minutes in, and there's a lot of information I'd like to cover. And usually the real world examples is what people really like to and enjoy seeing. So I'm going to go right into our deck, if that's okay. And this is recorded too, so Lauren's going to have this available for everybody. So I'm sure you can get the copy of the recording. So what is a large language model? Really simply, a large language model is a type of AI. So AI is a supercomputer. You're talking about quantum computing, how much more capabilities, how much more data a computer can handle, and this is what basically AI is giving us, the ability to handle much more data. And a large language model is basically that. It's a ton of data that this AI is trained on. It's language data, basically, right? So it's basically it learns how language works. It learns how patterns in language works, and then it is able to dig into the data sets and what it's trained on to look for those patterns. So when you ask it a question, and this is a very critical piece that you have to understand about ChatGPT, it doesn't think and look to give you an answer using reasoning. So when you're training it on data sets, it's not learning the data set, it's memorizing the data sets. And there's a fundamental difference because when it's memorizing it, it's not going to sit there and think of what's the answer you're looking for and then figure out if it's the right answer and then give you that answer. It's going to look for what you're asking and then look for patterns in that data. So it'll give you back what it thinks you're looking for. So that's really dangerous because when it gives back what it thinks you're looking for, it's giving you an answer that you want to hear. And a lot of people don't realize this. So a lot of times you'll ask ChatGPT something, it's going to give you back exactly what you're, oh, great. But you have to be careful, and that's why I want you to take these prompts with you and understand how it works more, because it's always going to look for the patterns to give you the answer that, like I said, that it thinks that you're looking for. So it's always looking to please the user. And that's very dangerous because when it's looking to please the user, it winds up giving you bad information. It winds up giving you wrong information. So you have to be very careful about the way that you ask it questions. And then you also have to vet the answers it's giving you, right? So you have to understand that, the basic models of ChatGPT are trained on vast sets of data that's out there, right? So Wikipedia, it's anything that's out there in Google, anything that is out on the World Wide Web or that they choose to train it on, that's what it's trained on. So when you're working with it, that's the stuff that now there are other tools. Like if you're a lawyer, there's AI and ChatGPTs that are trained on just, basically stacks and stack of law textbooks that are basically unique to a province, a state, a jurisdiction, whatever it is. And those are very expensive software. They're a couple $100 a month. Subscribe for my lawyer subscribes to one as well. And those are trained on data sets that are very specific to case law, right? And then it's only the AI is also built in a way that it only is allowed to give you answers by pulling information from that data. So that's what separates those kind of AIs is they're very much compartmentalized. So they're not out there searching on the web and searching everywhere else. They're really only going to be giving you answers from within the data set that it has access to. So, if you're only looking at doing case law in Quebec, then when you ask this specific AI questions, it's only going to give you answer from case laws in Quebec because that's what the data is. So, this is what we're seeing more and more with ChatGPT is, there's something called RAG models which are coming out, and those are just basically augmented generation. So it's basically giving you answers based on data that you have. So you can take a company's data and say load it up into a specific cloud spot, and then you can build an AI on top of that data and have it kind of read only that data and give you answers using the data that's in there. So this is really powerful now because now you're able to take all of the company information and use it in a way that you weren't able to in the past. And that's something that a lot of these bigger companies are really hot and heavy on ChatGPT about. But again, for us SMBs, it's not such a big deal because again, we want to work not just so compartmentalized in our own data. So what are the capabilities and what does this give us? One of the best things about it is user-friendly interactions. And really, this is something that ChatGPT does better than almost any other software, or better than I want to say any software that's been released in the last 100 years, right? You don't need to learn any special commands or follow any strict rules. You can just type out your questions and your prompts as you would in a natural conversation. And that's what's brought ChatGPT to the masses, and that's what allowed me to build an app with no programming background. I have a bit of programming background. I have some basic and some other stuff, but really I'm not a developer. So I was able to build an app and then host that app and let people use my app. And I was never able to do that without ChatGPT. And that's because I was able to almost converse with it, tell it what I'm looking for, and then, the same way I talk to developers, except the developers I always hired never listened. When ChatGPT listens, so that's always a plus. Contextual understanding, so that's really important as well. Unlike older systems that only respond to keywords or simple rules, ChatGPT understands the context of your conversation. It remembers what's been discussed, so it can provide answers and responses that make sense with the flow. Best way for me to describe this, if you think about Google, right? When you do a search in Google, you do a search in Google, it'll give you an answer. And if that answer is not exactly what you're looking for, now you have to type in a new search. That search doesn't remember what it just looked for and the mistakes that it made in the prior search. It's now starting a fresh new search based on what you're going to give it. With ChatGPT, when you ask it a question, it remembers, oh yeah, I answered him, but that's not what he wanted. So I'm going to go out and look for something else. That's a huge, huge difference maker. Handling complex queries is just another way of saying that. It basically takes complex questions, back and forth discussions, remembers them, gives you detailed answers. So you can ask it multiple stage questions and it'll take those and answer it. Me personally, when I use ChatGPT, especially when it comes into data and handling and manipulating my data and using that to give me back answers, I like to break out what I'm asking it to do into separate tasks so it doesn't get kind of muddied up. But even those separate tasks are much more complex than you used to do with Google, right? So it's not just do a Google search for this. It's like go out and find this and then let me know if there's X amount of whatever in there. So that's complex queries. And easy integration is, I think that's another huge, huge plus in why it's kind of rocketed ChatGPT into so many apps and into so many different facets of your life is because you can easily integrate. It's not like a software that you have to program and then, kind of pigeonhole into your solution. It's the way that it works really integrates very easily with other solutions. So you can easily slap it on top of a solution. You can use it to answer questions. Where I love it, I was just on GoDaddy the other day, and so I've used GoDaddy support quite a bit, and I get really frustrated with GoDaddy support because I wind up speaking to somebody in India, and it's a back and forth that drives me bananas, and they always try and sell me something else when I'm done, even if they haven't solved my problem. Now there's an AI support bot, right? And I just ask it the questions I need to answer. How do I set up the DNS for this, and blah 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 blah. And it just gives me back the answers I need. And it works through my problem and tells me exact, and I'm able to fix stuff without even talking to a human, but I'm able to fix it faster than when I had to interact with the human, because the human has all these other things that he has KPIs, he has metrics, he's trying to upsell me this and doing all that. But that bot was so much faster. And I love support bots for that. I think they're fantastic. If you have a company and if you have a website and you have a lot of visitors, but you can't answer all their questions, or some of their questions are just silly or just don't have time, that's what a support bot's for, right? You just train it on your questions, you train it on your services or your products, and it'll answer all the questions for your customers. And then I think the key personally is when you're incorporating these kind of tools and GPTs into your kind of existing business, just be open and honest with your customers about it, or with your clients about it, right? Like, I'm using an AI, I'm using GPT, this is what it's doing, and then that way it also helps people interact and use them as well, right? Like, it's, if they understand that this is an AI, then they'll phrase their questions in a way that hopefully they'll get the AI to answer back in the right way, as opposed to getting angry at you. I I used to thank ChatGPT up until about 8 months ago, in type writing, oh great, that was a great answer, thanks very much. And he'd say thanks, or she'd say thanks, blah blah blah. I'm like, why am I saying thanks to ChatGPT? It's ridiculous. But if it does a good job, you got to thank it. Okay, so those are capabilities. Let's talk about limitations. That's something that I think is something very important for everyone to kind of bear in mind when you're using ChatGPT. Is there are limitations to it, and if you don't pay attention to the limitations, you're going to wind up really looking kind of ridiculous, because it'll spit out some crazy stuff and it'll put that into all of your communications, right? So it can, when you ask it a question, it can sometimes misunderstand, or it can give you incorrect answers. But the problem with ChatGPT, when it gives you an incorrect answer, it sounds like it's very much correct, and it really believes that it's right when it gives you that answer. So, you have to be kind of careful when you ask it questions. And I think hopefully when you understand how it works and kind of what the limitations are, you'll understand a bit better the questions that you can ask it. But when questions are unclear or based on false information, it's important to double check the responses, right? So especially for crucial tasks. Ethical considerations. And ChatGPT can generate helpful content. It's crucial to use it responsibly. This is, we're seeing this everywhere, right? And it's going to get worse. It's an election campaign year in the US. You're seeing a lot of disinformation being spread. You're seeing a lot of AI videos being made, and the tools that are out there now, you can create videos, and you can create people saying, you can create, like, I have a tool and a service if you're looking at outreach and if you're looking at sales. So I can create a quick little video, and then I can upload a spreadsheet with first names and et cetera, and then the AI will take care of the rest. So it'll take my main video, and then it'll use that and create the intro. So I'll have a little pitch about whatever I'm talking about, but then it'll create the intro. Hey, John, this is what I want to talk to you about. And it looks like me saying it, right? So you can use that to scale. So you create the initial message, and these are all the people that I want to customize it to. And then it sends out that video, and that video is me saying hello to you and then talking about the solution. That, I think, is a good way to use it. Bad way to use it, obviously, create fake videos or fake stuff, and fake testimonials, and like, I don't know, when you're going to wind up on a company site, you're going to see a testimonial of somebody saying that this is a really great service, and 9 times out of 10, who knows if it's an AI, if it's not an AI. A lot of these new tools and a lot of these AI stuff that's popping up, a lot of the stuff, it's unfortunate, but you can tell that they use a lot of AI generated testimonials and a lot of AI generated case studies and just stuff that's not real. I was using a ChatGPT for doing outreach, and it's called Twain, and I can show you where I was using it. But it creates a quick intro message, a quick intro message for outreach. So if I'm doing, say, software development outreach, and you want to do custom software dev, it'll say, hey, you know what, just wanted to reach out to you. So it'll do the first intro. So if you give it a table, it'll do the first intro for all of your. The problem is, it'll make up stuff. So if you're using a framework where it'll say, yeah, we did this for this company, and we also were able to achieve these results for this company here, it just makes all that up. But this is a software that a lot of salespeople are using, and they'll put this stuff in and say, yeah, I want to reach out to this people, and here's my list, and blah, blah, and then it'll just make up stats and say, yeah, we did this for XYZ company, and we were able to get them a 30% efficiency increase, and blah, blah, but it's all made up. So, that's where you have to be really careful. Like, it feels like people look at ChatGPT almost as like an unethical salesperson that you hire, and you kind of don't want to see what they're doing, but they're bringing in sales and they're bringing in leads, so you let them kind of do their thing, right? But you got to watch what they're saying. You got to watch what they're telling people, right? Like, and that's the ethical consideration. Lack of understanding. That's, although ChatGPT can mimic human conversation, it doesn't actually understand things, like I mentioned, right? So its answers are really it's looking for patterns in that vast storage of knowledge that it has and that it's been trained on. So to look for the answers or pattern of an answer that it thinks you're looking for, and it'll feed that back to you. So, it doesn't really have a true understanding of what it's feeding it. Will it get there? Maybe. When it gets there, that's when we really have to start to worry. But right now, it just feeds back patterns and gives you back what you think it's listening or wants. So dependence on training data. This is really the crux of ChatGPT. It's only as good as the data, and that's the truth for almost everything that you see out there. How good is your data will really dictate how good your output is, right? So ChatGPT right now is getting trained. When I made this deck, I can go back to my first slide here. It was 3.5. It's at 4.40. So it's 4.0 with the mini now. And what that has done is it's allowed, like, there's always a cost to using ChatGPT, and that's why you pay for the version that's $20 US a month, that's appropriate. Even that version will chug and will start to get slower if you use it a lot. So the paid versions are where you want to bet. I have what they call an API. So my API allows me to plug to the back end of ChatGPT, and then I can feed it into either my apps that I build or right into programs. But there's always a ticker on that cost, and there's always a cost. And now I can show you the playground. I'll show you where my cost is at for this month. It's only like $5. But now with GPT Mini, they have taken that cost. So say it was $30 to run something. It's not 30. 30 is super high, but if it's 30, now it's gone down to $10, or even less, $9. So they've really, really shrunk the cost. So for someone who uses it a lot, yourself, you will not notice. But when you're doing, large campaigns, or when you're doing big projects, then you will definitely notice there's different models that you can use. And the new one is GPT-4o Mini. And that one is the one that it's really powerful, it works really well, and it's really cheap. So, and that's another thing that you see now, right? Like, you see, everybody sees that OpenAI is bleeding money, and that they're gonna, they need X amount of $1 billion to be able to. But Microsoft is bankrolling these guys, and they have integrated ChatGPT and AI into so many of their existing solutions, and it's part of their core product sets. It's not going to go bankrupt. It's not going to go. It's not in trouble anytime soon in terms of money or cash flow or whatever. So these are the limitations, and now let's go on to the fun stuff. So ChatGPT for sales and marketing. So there's a lot of stuff that we can do with ChatGPT, and there's a lot of stuff this is stuff that I use it for daily, and you can see by my prompts that I'm going to share with you that I was just using yesterday and the day before. I do a lot of outreach. I do a lot of outreach for clients. This has made it. The one thing when I started this business 7 years ago, it was I left the Microsoft head office, and I wanted to do this on my own because I really enjoyed it. The one thing I was never able to do as a consultant was to scale, right? Because you can only do so much, and you only have so many hours in the day. But now with ChatGPT and AI, I'm able to finally scale my offerings and help work with more people that I was able to in the past. And that's only because I use AI for a lot of the stuff that so it sometimes take me hours to put together. I can do this in a few minutes with AI now. So improving your website with AI enhanced content and design. I've redone my website, I want to say 3 times in the last 6 months. And not website, so landing pages, like for my solution, or I had another offer, or I had my landing page I had a SalesBot app that I had created. I was never able to build that many websites or build that much content. And it's always the content on the site. The design is one thing. Forget about design. I'm not a designer, as Lauren will tell you, because Lauren actually made the design for our logo for our flyer because she did not like my design skills, apparently. But the content is where it comes in super handy, right? It's the written, the text, the context, everything that's going to fill up what we want to. So that's what it's great for. AI to create impact content for content marketing is something that I do, and I use it for. And this is something I used to create all the custom content for my clients for their social media feeds and stuff like that. And that was painstaking, right? It's very hard to create content on a regular basis and keep it original. And this is where ChatGPT and AI help you do that. Look, you don't want to just let it create content for you, because there's an abundance of AI generated spam out there, and people can tell when it's AI generated spam. It reads like spam. It has this weird kind of, tone. It's overly descriptive. There's a lot of stuff that, is a very big tell when it comes to AI. So, you use AI to give you the core of, okay, what you want your message to be. and then you clean it up in your own words, or you use those frameworks that I'm going to show you. And those frameworks do actually deliver a lot better in terms of outputs, and they are able to deliver outputs that are a lot closer to what you're looking for. So find and connect with better targets for your business. If you're a manufacturer's rep, this is something I hope that is going to be super useful for you. I'll show you a couple of examples of that. Leveraging AI-powered keyword research for SEO. That's just another example of how we've been using it, from our clients. That's one of the things that I always struggled with. You're trying to create a keyword campaign for Google. You create some keywords, and now I need 20 more keywords, 30 more keywords. This is what AI is fantastic for, right? You want to ask it for long tail keywords. It has a billion sets of those to give you. So, that was something that, was always a problem for me, is coming up with more keywords. Like, first things you want to do is research your competitors, see what people are searching for them, but then you want to take those keywords and expand on them, right? So that's, those are the things that I like to use it for, and I can go into some real examples now. This is just basically, I had redone, like I said, I'd redone my site quite a few times. And the way that I do my sites is something that I want to talk about. Is there's a lot of tools, there's always plug and play builders for building websites, but they're so much better now. There's, I use Wix. There's also Framer, and Framer I just built this quick little landing page on. I think somebody was telling me that the landing page I had for Wix for my profiler service that I'd rolled out was too slow and had a few things they didn't like. So I said, okay. So I went out and learned Framer. Framer was another application that helps me build, really simple websites, landing pages, and it all uses AI in the back end. So when you as long as you have a couple of things listed out, like your core. Okay, this is this is what I want for my call to action. This is what the main service offering is going to be, et cetera, et cetera. It's causing me some issues. I'm going to sign off, and I'll do my best to get back in. Okay, no problem. This is going to be recorded too, so by all means, you get the recording afterwards. And I also mentioned to Lauren that you can always reach out. Well, I'm going to send you the PDF takeaway, so it has my contact details, and you can also reach out to Lauren. But I do follow up webinar. I do follow up workshops as well, so we can talk about that after if anybody has to drop off. So for building landing pages and for building the content, getting better hooks, that's something that, when you look at your landing page, and when I got, other people take a look at my page and they're saying, yeah, your call to action needs to be more bold. You need a better hook, this and that. That's what I use AI and ChatGPT for. I find it's super helpful for that kind of stuff. And yeah, this is, just one example, but I'll go into content marketing, which I think is huge right now, right? Like, you have to use a multi-channel approach if you're doing any kind of outbound sales nowadays. It doesn't cut it to just try and use one channel. Social is huge. And one of the things that I struggled with social is I'm a terrible designer, as I mentioned, but the tools that you use now are so good. I use a tool called Canva, and I'll show you what Canva looks like. And I love Canva. And this is basically how I built my content, but Canva is so good. It can help you, find whatever elements. This is all, like, with the subscription, you get all these elements. They're included. So whenever you build anything, Canva includes all of the icons and everything. You don't have to look for all that stuff, right? If you want to generate your own image, you can generate your own image in Canva. Obviously, you can do that with other tools as well, but I like it because it's built right into my content engine where I build out all my stuff, right? So I really like its ease of use. I like the fact that it comes loaded with template. I'm not trying to sell you Canva, but I'm just trying to say this is the way that I have been able to build out and grow my social media, my and it's doing really well. But it's something that I had to really work on, and I was not able to do that without having a solution. Like, Canva is really popular as well. Tons of templates out there for you to use. So I do strongly recommend, if you're looking for a solution like this, then I do recommend looking at Canva. I use it for all kinds of stuff. Use it like creating the slides for the webinar. I used to use PowerPoint for all this stuff, but I really prefer building them out in Canva, and then I'll move it into PowerPoint afterwards. It allows me to kind of save this as a PowerPoint. So I can create all this Canva, and then I can just save it as a PowerPoint. So that's really powerful. And I really enjoy using Canva for that. And content for your blogs. I'm going to show you that I built a little blog engine using Clay, which is another tool that I use. But that's something that people struggle with, right? But I included a prompt in this sheet. So if you go to the bottom, there's a prompt here, right? So as an experienced copywriter and tech sector, trust your expertise, going to craft a well-informative, and you can use this and just tweak it a little bit. Here I said, please take the following notes, instructions, and you can get rid of this legacy blog post or use an old blog post, but you can delete this. Incorporate them into a new blog post. right? So it'll give you something like this, and it'll give you all of the meta descriptions for, this is something that I struggled with when I was doing my blog post. I got to get the age. These titles are all important for Google and SEO. I don't really create posts caring about SEO, but when I use AI now, it can help me do this without even breaking a sweat. It puts all the headers in for me. It makes sure I give it a keyword too, and then it puts the keyword in, and then this is the SEO section it pumps out for you. So that's all, just using this exact prompt, you can put your stuff in and you can put your notes and instructions in. And this is the example, and it'll give you exactly what you need for your content. So hopefully that'll help you kind of give you a kind of a kickstart when you're creating content for your blogs and stuff like that. So next, we'll dive. Is there any questions, by the way? Like, I know I'm kind of going through this fast. I'm going to go into the live kind of dive into the practical, but I don't want to be glossing over anything, or I don't want to be going really too fast. This is all stuff that I kind of hope that you get some value out of seeing how we use it. But again, the practical is where I hope that you'll see a bit more of how you can use it in your day-to-day as well. So for my manufacturing rep, here's how I kind of use tools that are built around AI. Clay is a tool that I use, and I'll show you Clay. I'll give you a live demo of that quickly. But Clay is super powerful because Clay allows me to do not just build lists, but it allows me to create AI agents in my list that go out and do stuff. So if I start with a big list of companies, first it'll check to make sure I can ask it, hey, check if the domain's valid, to make sure that they're still in business, right? If they don't have a domain, they're not really worth me chasing. So then it comes back with yes, valid. So I started with a huge list. I want to split the list. So I did a formula, and I'll show you how that works. But really, it allows you to go out and find customers, either using Google to search customers in a geographic area. You can use LinkedIn to a search, all kinds of different stuff. It also has something called Ocean AI, which is a plugin. So if you give me one of your existing customers, I put that into a table, and I use Ocean's AI. You can determine if you want to care about where they are geographically located, the size, all kinds of stuff you can filter on, and then it'll create a list, or it'll create duplicates or photocopies of your customer, finding you more customers exactly like that in your area, or as many as it can find. So it's really powerful for, like I said, research and digging into finding better targets. It helps craft my outreach message. That's the first app that I built. Actually, my app was really helping to help my clients, because I was doing a lot of outreach for my clients, and they always struggle with that initial outreach message. So I'm like, okay, so I built an app that basically allowed them to download their LinkedIn profile, then download the LinkedIn profile of the target that they want to go after, and then also then connect like a website or something, or a brochure, and say, hey, I want a little intro for my LinkedIn, or I want to do a little intro for email, and then it would spit out the answer for them. And they really liked it. So, that's what I built that for. So these are some of the prompt structures that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to go into some real world examples with these, but these are the ones I'm going to give you in that PDF. But if you want the takeaway of just the deck, then these are 5 are in the deck. But these are ways that you can create your prompts that'll give you a bit more control over the answers that you're getting, and a bit more control over how it gives you back that answer and what kind of format, right? So role task format is, specify the role. This is something that's important to ChatGPT. Are you a blog copywriter? Are you, tech support guy? So give it a role. So give it a hat to put on when it's answering this question for you. Then task, very simply define your task, and then indicate the format, right? So this helps you, not just get your task done, and not just, you want to get it done by somebody who's, in that role, and you want that format coming out the way you want it. Task, action, goal, really quickly define your task, state the action to take, clarify the goal, right? So all of these come with examples. And we're going to dive in, and we can try a few of them now based on what everyone here kind of wants to see. Because, like I said, I'll be giving you these, but these I think are good takeaways. I'm going to stop this slideshow here, and I'm still sharing here. So I'm going to go right into some real world examples. So this is one that I just spun up yesterday. How can I employ? So, this is one that I have in my frameworks here, in the examples. Right. So one of the ones is, call to actions is something that a lot of people don't really, or maybe not struggle with, but it's something that's important, right? A call to action. So, what's a call to action for I said on-call service text for PC repair, so this is how they're going to tap into what they call FOMO, right? So don't let a minor glitch turn into a major disaster, book your on call. And then, it gives you a couple, but you really, want to, you want to really shape the way that it gives you the answer so it doesn't come off either too pitchy, too salesy, or not salesy enough or not pitchy enough, So again, that's why we really like to use those frameworks when we're kind of building out these kind of questions and answers. What I'll do is I'll grab one of the ones here, but if there's any that anybody would like to see, let me know, right? So we have stuff like use a psychological professional. What emotional triggers can we use to make? So unique value proposition is something that's unique about your product or service that you want to focus on, right? More persuasive to our target demographic. If there's anybody who wants to try something, let me know. We can put yours through this here, or if you have something that you'd like to see, then I'm happy to plug that in. How can you plug? It's like this is the CTA that we used here. If we go over some other examples, I already plugged these in, so I'm going to give you back the PDF. But let's try something. I mean, if you want, we can dive right into either a little bit more in terms of how we find these contacts and how we build out custom content, or we can dive into using, a practical session here with ChatGPT more. If I'm looking for a manufacturer's rep, then who had mentioned, I wanted to show you this, how we can use Clay, right? So this is one of the cool tools that we talk about. So if you want to, look at Clay's a tool that I use that you can use to find people from all different types of sources. And the one thing I like about it is like it pulls in sources not just from LinkedIn, but it's a connector of sorts, right? So it takes in multiple Apollo, HubSpot, and it pulls them all into one place, and then in that one place we can do other things with them. So for this, if you want to put in a location query, so did I spell it wrong?
Antigonis.
Anti.
Talaga siya yung English. Gonish.
Take it off. There we go. So this is a radius you can put in, and then you can type in any search, a business type, right? And then you can type from business type, car wash, car repair. And these are anybody that's going to be on Google. It'll find anybody that's in Google here, and it's going to list them. Let's go to gas station. Results 20. So you got 2 gas stations that I found in your area. The nice thing is it gives you all the contact details. It gives you the amount of reviews that they got, the ratings, and it gives you their website as well. You can just check out their website, make sure that it's actually in Antigonos, and it is. But that's Clay, and it's one of the tools that I probably spend the most amount of time on because Clay allows me to take AI and the tools that I use with AI and build them into custom things like this. Like this is how I build custom content for blogs. So the way I do that is I'll take a company, it's one of my customers, and I'll take like the external source here is the Hacker News. So the Hacker News is basically it just talks about different breaches or talks about cybersecurity incidents, right? So I use that as one of the external sources. Then I create this agent. So this agent visits the company website here. So that's the company domain, not.com, looks for 3 to 4 services or products they sell or offer to clients and lists them here. So then it lists those 3 to 4. So this is kind of 1, 2, 3, 4 things that they do at Noftech. I do that, I break that up because then what I do is I look at this column here and I get it to visit the company services and products, search the homepage of this Hacker News website and the external user if there's any, right? For any recent news and articles that align with the company's products and services are listed, create a blog title and subject header for a social media, the blog post, and that's the next step. And then it creates this title. And this title is based on an article that I found in this actual external source. And then it's also based on, like I said, the 4 kind of pillars of, what they offer at Noftech. So once I have the title, then I actually go to create the actual blog itself, which is the whole blog. And we do that all in kind of a table form. So because of the way that I built this now, I can create a new external source. I can actually give it new instructions. And this is how you kind of daisy chain AI and ChatGPT to work together. And the nice thing is you can even choose different kinds of AIs and ChatGPTs to use. So if I want to edit this, it allows me to choose, this is GPT 4.0. You actually have GPT 4.0 here, and this is the mini one that I like to use. There's Turbo. This is the Anthropic. So you have GPT, and now you have Anthropic. Use ChatGPT to create job posting for their business geek demo. Yeah, sure. And there we go. So let's take a look at job posting. I think the fastest way, the best way to do it is if they have, if you want to use an existing job posting, that's an easy way to start, or you can start by just asking them to create a job posting for, is there any business that we want to highlight, Lauren, or maybe, let me see here what we have. Oh, maybe we'll do it for the university. Let me see here. I don't know what they would be doing, but research assistant. Megan's typing. She'll tell me what we're doing here. Events coordinator, perfect. Thank you. Sorry about that. Now, Megan, is there anything in the job title that you want to maybe focus on? Focus on time management, maybe? And planning, maybe? Sorry about you listening to me type. There. And let's put the role in here first. You are, I'm going to take Megan's exact title. Sorry, Megan. What was school? St. FX. Let's see what we get. Now, normally it'll take a look at stuff that it'll find on LinkedIn, or I'd like to give an example as well, or if you see something you like, that's super easy to do, right? Grab one from somebody that you like and then just pop it in. It'll look up online, I guess, and it'll tell you it knows, but you got to double check the stuff that it told you about St. FX just to make sure. Right. And then, this is key responsibilities. It's going to pull what it knows about event planners or about event coordinators based on what information it has on the data sets and what it sees out there and what it's been trained on. Right. So it's going to make up a whole bunch of stuff that you offer. I don't know if you do offer all these good things, Megan, but hopefully you do. But this is what I was telling you about, how it's going to give you what it thinks you want to hear, right? But again, then now the actual hard work comes from yourself. Now you got to actually, not hard work, but now you're just going to clean this up. But it's a great starting point in terms of, giving you what you need to work with. You can put in your own description of St. FX here, and I think it does a pretty good job pumping out a quick little job description. So let's see, writer, photographer. Is there anything like maybe for a website you'd like to see, or let's see what else we got? It did do a good job. Yeah, it does a good job. Like I said, the key I think is to define the role and to give it a framework that it can respond well to. And I'm not going to lie, a lot of these frameworks and stuff I grab from other people that are better at creating prompts than I am, and I use these prompts, and that's the best thing about that. Just steal people's stuff and make it work for you, right? So these prompts I hope are going to give you a fantastic starting point for ChatGPT. Um, but it's really about taking those prompts and making them your own and then playing with it. And this is the free version of ChatGPT, by the way. So the nice thing is the free version now also kind of has has a memory. Like the enterprise version does remember a lot more, and it keeps your old conversations. But this is nice because you can go back to the old conversations that you used to have, and it can help you kind of remember those and pick up where you kind of took off. But it does have a limit, I will tell you that, right? So it has a limit in terms of what it can remember. It can only go back so far, right? And then it'll start to forget stuff. So what you might have to do sometimes is you remind it to go back to the beginning of your chat, and it'll tell you how much. It has the way that it works on tokens, right? So tokens are kind of hard to explain. They take words and they split them into tokens. So one word can be 2 tokens, or one word can be 1 token. ChatGPT has, like, I think it used to start with 8,000 tokens total context. So that 8,000 tokens includes the prompts, what you do to give it a prompt. So when you're describing the role, when you're describing, what you needed to do, that's all part of that 8,000. And then it's going to give you that what it spits out for you as well as part of that total 8,000. And anything that it goes beyond that, it starts to forget. Right. So if it's too long in the back, it's going to forget. And that's something to really keep in mind. So there's other models out there that are coming, like Anthropic's model does like 100,000 tokens. So that's why people read. That's the model for Meta. That's Facebook Meta. And that model has been put into a lot of their devices now, and that's one thing you have to be cognizant of, right? Like when you're on your phone, now that Microsoft's put AI into everything, and when you're using any kind of apps or any tools, it's listening constantly, building data sets, and when you give it permission, and sometimes uploads, offloads that data, but hopefully it keeps it on your machine. But it's constantly listening to everything you're saying. I'm big into virtual reality, and I have a bunch of headsets, and now I have Meta headsets, so Facebook headset. That Facebook headset is listening to me constantly when I'm in that headset, and it's listening. And then it'll present ads to you on Facebook that you were just talking to somebody in your headset about something, and it listened and heard. So that's why enterprise organizations love AI. It's an advertiser's dream come true, right? Learn everything you can, grab as much information as you can for people, and remember it all. That's what it does very effectively. But again, small to mid-sized businesses, I think there's a huge untapped potential of, I really want you to embrace ChatGPT. This is the free version. As I mentioned, everybody can go out there and sign up and get the free version, start playing with it. It doesn't have images yet. Let's check. But the ChatGPT Pro one, let's see if it does. ChatGPT Pro does. Maybe they added it back because the ChatGPT Free never had it. The Pro did. Oh, there we go. But it's, every time I see one of these pictures, I'm like, that's an AI. That's an AI generated picture. I like taking an AI generated picture and then throwing it into Canva, and then customizing the picture with Canva, and that makes that's what takes an AI generated image and turn this into something that's a lot better, right? So, aside from that, I think we've done, I normally, like I said, I'm not sure if, people are a bit shy or if you just, but I'd love hearing more case studies or something that you'd like to see. I'm happy to do any kind of searches. If you're looking for targets, or if you're looking to expand your target base, you get some more leads, I can show you how Clay works and build out some lead tables for you, build out a lead table for you. If you're interested in seeing that, just let me know. But this, like I said, this prompt guide, I think, is going to be really useful um, in terms of helping you kind of understand it. The examples, I think, are going to be big because you can just take the examples. I put in stuff that I'm familiar with, like Google Ads, LinkedIn, stuff like that. But this is what I think that you should really use to kind of help you build out your prompts, right? Frameworks at the top, you can kind of understand these or try these. And then if you want to go down and just play around with these ones, these are some fun stuff that I threw in that I think small to mid-sized business owners, all of you should be kind of playing around with. But for the salespeople out there, for the people that are trying to grow their business, There's really powerful tools out there. Clay is not cheap. Clay is $150 a month just for the subscription. But it is kind of the core of my business, and I use it for all my customers, and I use it for myself. And I do multiple outreach. I do a lot of outreach campaigns by email now, and that's one of the things that I use it for. So Smart Lead is another application. That's an AI built application for email. What I really love about it is it tracks everything. It gives you real-time updates, and I've actually integrated that. I don't know if any of you have used Slack before, but I built integrations. Yeah, absolutely, from various websites. Yeah, Darcy, there is. Anyway, you try to be a fill a standardized form pulling in from various websites. I'd have to see exactly the form you want, but I could use Clay, I think, to do what you're asking. This is an integration I built into Slack. So what this does with, I just built this by using the tools that are built in here. So they have a workflow. Now, this is so easy. When I was at Microsoft used to try and tell you that this was easy to do, but now it is easy to do. So you can, start with the webbook. So that's basically anytime somebody in this email campaign clicks, so I send an email and, there's stuff in here for them to click on, right? And then if they do click or reply, then I'll get a notification sent right into my notifications, and it adds it to a list. So then if I go here, I see all the people that click. So the nice thing is if I'm playing or working in Slack, I get notified every time somebody clicked. I click continue, it adds them to a list here, and this list separates everybody that's kind of clicked. Now I'm kind of tracking the campaign. So this is Microsoft US Partners, Beacon for Perfect, but it has all of these leads. And these are leads that I'm building up over time, and then I'll just reach out to these people. But for using ChatGPT to fill in a standardized form, if it's your form, you could build in the prompts. I would probably use something like Clay to create a table, and then use the table to go out and build that, and then spit out the form information you need. But yeah, there's definitely ways that you can get that. That's what ChatGPT is good. The big use now, a lot of AIs, you're seeing a lot of scrapers out there. So the one that I showed you is a scraper for Google. There's another one called Appify that I use. That this is just a fancy scraper that basically, there's different kinds of scrapers that you can get. You can go Google Maps extractor. This is one like the one that I showed you on Clay. It's a smaller one. But if you want to, what I did, I have one of my customers is a call center, it's an outbound call center, and they call, thousands of businesses a month, right? So basically what I did is I built an extractor that searches all of Canada for any kind of business that he's looking for. And then I built him an entire list in Canada. So, the way that he was doing is each of his reps was sitting down in front of Google Maps doing a search and then manually going to each one, but I built him a table and fired off like a few thousand to him in like a matter of minutes, and he was just blown away about how fast. So these are the tools that are out there now, and they're all like, allowing that you can scrape people from Instagram, you can scrape people from Facebook posts, you can go out and if you're researching people, so for salespeople like myself, if you really have a high what they call high value ticket customer, somebody that's really important to you, do your homework, do your research. And you can do that at scale. So you can pick like 10 customers, 20 customers, go out, research their Facebook, research their TikTok, whatever it is you want to find out about them, build a nice table with all the information, and then call them, reach out to them, email them, do all that good stuff. So I've already hit the 55-minute mark, and the last question I had was the GPT to fill a standardized form. You could do it, but not really like with the basic free GPT. So you wouldn't be able to tell it to go out and fill a form or give it a form per se. You would be able to do it if you built it into what we call an API. So I'll show you the APIs, kind of where we build APIs. So this is where you build what we call assistants in ChatGPT. So this assistant, if you take the instructions, it's basically a prompt, right? So I built this prompt based on that blog that I had mentioned, the blog prompt that I'd shown you here, I think, or it's here, right? There's a blog prompt that I have at the bottom. So I built that right into an assistant. So the way the assistant works is now this assistant gives an assistant number, so it's right here. So basically, if anything I pump into here, like blog content, it'll take the instructions that are here and it'll give me the output that I'm looking for. So if I go, like, let's say I grab one of my old posts here. Oops, wrong one. And if I want to just copy a post to see, like, let's say one of these older posts that wasn't maybe optimized. All right. So this post is really small. It's not really optimized. So I'm going to try and put it into my, let's see what we get. So this one's the same thing. It's just taking the notes and it's supposed to give me my SEO section and do all that other good stuff, right? So now it actually fleshes it out, talks about Open Graph, which is, one of the ways that this works. This ICP tool. This is a tip that I gave for LinkedIn, but that's what it's doing is basically going into that, going a bit deeper, right? So that's a full post. Now you see how my post is just a small post. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to replace, this post that I'd created with my SEO posts, because what I noticed is a lot of my older posts, they weren't SEO'd properly, or they weren't getting the clicks that they should be getting, and they weren't getting kind of found on Google. So now I built this so I can go out and just redo all my old posts with this kind of proper formatting, proper kind of. But you can build an assistant to fill out your forms here. Or we can play around to trying to build an assistant to fill out. If it's a standardized form, you build up the form here, and then it just spits that out into what they call JSON, and then you use the JSON to fill out the form. So it's not really super hard, but we can do it. Not a problem. And like I said, I'll be sharing this, but I think I'm going to put my email here in the chat. But I'll also give you my LinkedIn. So feel free to shoot me a message either on LinkedIn or to just, I do post about a lot of this stuff on LinkedIn. So, by all means, if you like what you see, follow along. There's no cost, obviously, and everything's free that I do. So not a huge deal. But again, here's my LinkedIn as well. So feel free to connect on there. And I will share the deck with Lauren, so she'll have the PDF of the deck. And if anybody who wants the PDF of the content and the prompts, shoot me an email or reach out to Lauren and she'll let me know, and I'll email that to you separately. Okay. I don't know if that helps or if that hopefully has opened everybody's eyes a little bit more to ChatGPT. Usually, like I said, when I do these, there's a lot of feedback and people are looking either for more one-on-one time or they're looking to get some deeper dives into stuff. So I have done workshops, follow-up workshops. I work with nonprofits all the time. So these aren't it's obviously going to be with the chamber. So if you are interested in learning more, if you did like what you see, then please by all means reach out to Lauren, and I'm happy to set up a follow-up workshop in the future. I have a couple of these now set up through August, but maybe October I should have some time to do a workshop if anybody's interested. That's it. Lauren, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I was going to say, unless anybody has any questions, I have Peter's contact info if you want it from me, or we can make sure everybody gets that PDF so you can kind of play with it on your own. But thanks so much, Peter. This is fantastic.
Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And like I said, any other questions? This is something that I'd really love for everybody to go out and start using and start playing with. There's no cost to the free ChatGPT, and now you're going to have all these prompts and you're going to have an idea of where to get started with it. So don't be shy. You got to get out there and start using it before everybody else does. So.
That's right. Perfect. Okay. We'll let everybody go. Like Peter said, if you need anything, contact me or contact him if you have his info, or we can loop everybody in. But we'll let everybody go and have a great afternoon.
Yeah, have a great, wonderful afternoon, Nova Scotia. And thanks again for attending.
Perfect. See ya.
Bye, Lauren.